putting some shots together here. Gotti looking to the referee.
The air inside the MGM Grand felt different that night. It wasn't just another fight, it was the fight. Floyd Mayweather stood in his corner, untouched, untouchable, draped in his signature silk shorts, his expression unreadable. Across the ring, another challenger was convinced they had cracked the code. Some were faster, some were stronger, some were bigger. None of it had ever mattered. The bell rang. The dance began. The world watched as Mayweather did what he had always done. He didn't overpower. He didn't destroy. He dismantled. He turned warriors into ghosts. The same story, written in 1,000 different ways, always ended the same. His hand raised, another perfect chapter added to a career that had yet to be blemished. 50 fights, 50 wins, 0 losses, perfection. The kind of number that silences debate. And yet, the argument still rages on. Perfection is supposed to be undeniable, but with Mayweather, it has always been complicated. He never bled in battle like Ali. He never crushed opponents with raw power like Tyson. He never waged wars like Sugar Ray Leonard. He never let himself be beaten down and rise again. He never had to. The sport of boxing has always been romanticized for its brutality. Legends are written in blood, in swollen eyes, in rounds where the human body is pushed to its limit, where only the heart and will remain. Mayweather did not give the sport that. He took no punishment, left no wars in the ring, gave no moments where his greatness was defined by suffering. Instead, he mastered the art of not getting hit, of making elite fighters look ordinary, of turning the most violent sport in the world into a controlled chess match. He left with a perfect record, his health intact, his mind sharp, and still, many refuse to call him the greatest. The story of Floyd Mayweather is not just about his dominance inside the ring, it is about his control outside of it. He was not just a fighter, he was a businessman, an architect of his own empire. Before him, boxers were at the mercy of promoters, earning a fraction of what they deserved while the real money flowed elsewhere. He changed that forever. He walked away from the biggest promoters, bet on himself, built his own empire, and redefined how fighters negotiate power. When Mayweather fought, he didn't just win. He made history's biggest paydays, built an industry around his name, and proved that fighters could own their destiny. But money does not make a fighter great. It is the question of legacy that lingers. Muhammad Ali was more than a fighter. He was a symbol, a warrior inside and outside the ring, a man who fought for something greater than himself. Ali stepped into the ring with monsters. He went to war with Sonny Liston, took Joe Frazier's left hooks like they were written into fate, walked into the jungle, and took down George Foreman when the world said it was impossible. His legacy was forged in struggle, in impossible moments, in fights that felt more like mythology than sport. Mayweather never had those moments, and that is the paradox of his career. His genius is in the fact that he never needed them. He did not fight wars because he did not have to. His defense was impenetrable. His game plan was never reckless. He was a scientist in an era that wanted gladiators. He played the game perfectly, so perfectly that some believe it was never played at all. His critics will say he avoided danger, that he hand-picked his fights, that he ducked opponents in their prime and only took risks when the risk was calculated. Pacquiao should have been fought earlier, they say. Canelo was too young. The fights he avoided, the timing of his choices, every decision made not just for victory, but for legacy control. If the greatest boxers are remembered for walking through fire, does Mayweather's avoidance of that fire disqualify him? But then again, isn't the goal of boxing to not get hit? Isn't the very essence of the sport to hit and not be hit? Floyd mastered that truth more than anyone before him. His shoulder roll, his counterpunching, his ability to turn aggression against his opponents was so dominant that it often looked effortless. Greatness, to some, must look like struggle. But Mayweather's greatness was in the fact that he never let it be a struggle at all. Some fighters had power, others had speed, others had footwork. Mayweather had control. Total, complete control. He turned the most dangerous sport into an equation he had already solved before the first bell rang. His opponents were never just fighting him. They were fighting against time, against frustration, against the realization that no matter what they did, they were always just one step behind. The numbers say he is the greatest. No defeats, no off nights, no damage taken. A legacy of flawless execution, measured in technical brilliance rather than dramatic moments. But history remembers struggle, and that is why, even with perfection, the debate never truly ends. Is the greatest fighter the one who walked through fire and conquered, or the one who never let the fire touch him?